Welcome to SDHC's Health and Wellbeing podcast. Before we begin, we want to emphasise that the information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date content, it is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis or treatment. Always seek the guidance of your doctor or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. Remember, your health and well-being are invaluable, so prioritise consulting with a medical professional for your personalised care. Hi everybody, you're listening to the Health and Wellbeing podcast from Hillbrow Health and Wellbeing and SDHC with your host, Dr. Nick Harvey. The purpose of this show is to help people understand how they can help themselves and others with their health and well-being. Every episode I interview an everyday expert to understand the latest evidence and advice on how to improve your own health or help others. Today we're diving into a form of connection that's felt deeply, not just heard or seen, the power of touch. In our hyper-connected digital age, genuine human contact has become rare, yet our need for it is vital. Our guest, Helen Prosper, has built a movement delivering thousands of moments of gentle touch and presence through her initiative, A Touch of Gentleness. Helen has over 30 years' experience of working therapeutically with people of all ages. She's trained in many modalities, including counselling, play therapy, havening, integrative nutritional health coaching, massage therapy, and as a baby massage instructor. Helen uses an integrative, gentle approach to support people back to feelings of wellness. Throughout her career, Helen has worked in a wide variety of settings, including Great Ormond Street Hospital, hospices for children and adults, GP surgeries, schools, care homes, shelters for the homeless, and the corporate world. Over this time, Helen's worked with and observed children and adults alike, the power that gentleness, listening, touch, and connection has on people's well-being. Helen's work reminds us that sometimes the smallest act, holding a hand, can hold the greatest healing. Welcome, Helen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Nick.
So I'm fascinated kind of reading that out and thinking, gosh, 30 years of really pulling together lots of different kind of quite empowering therapies that's brought you to this point really with a touch of gentleness. So I'm interested just to hear a little bit more about how you came to this point and maybe how you juggle that with your family life and all that as well.
Yeah, it's been a journey. It really has. And as you say, it has been pulling together of 30 years of lived experience. And ever since I was little, I just wanted to know what makes us sick and what makes us tick on an individual and societal level. And it keeps coming back to connection and also touch. So yeah, it's just so much part of the lens that I look at life through. And it's been a huge asset in my family life. And connection, the best definition I found of connection was by Brené Brown that says, connection is the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, valued. So if you work with the energy, I've found that gentleness is the best energy that brings the giver and the receiver together and holds space for ourselves too when you live gently with yourself. So in answer to your question, how I juggle it, I lean into gentleness for myself, gentleness for my work, gentleness for my family. And I let that lead the way.
Thank you. Oh, it's striking me listening to you that it's almost like a habit for you.
Yeah.
Was that always a habit?
Somehow it's something I just knew. I think I really just knew it and saw it. And I very consciously have worked with it for about 15 years through my work as a play therapist and counsellor, because I need to make my clients and children feel as safe as possible, as quickly as possible. And I found that working with the energy of gentleness was the most productive energy. And it's also, I've kind of worked with mindfulness for years and years and years and just couldn't get there. But actually, when you try and do something gently, you have to be fully present. And it has an intention of care. It has integrity. It's not soft and fliff-flaff. Actually, it's just so, and it's responsive. And so, yes, it has become a habit. How can I do this gently? And when you breathe in gentleness, when you imagine it, when you feel it, when you sense it, it's a beautiful, calming, anchoring point to live with that I consciously living more and more with.
Mm-hmm. And I understand we'll come on to a touch of gentleness in a minute, but do you do work to help people live through gentleness as well?
Yes. So that's part of what the training is in a touch of gentleness. Anybody can give a hand massage, but it's not just what we do. It's how we do something that's so important. And gentleness brings the presence. So it's very key to what we do. A touch of gentleness is 3 pillars. It's the energy of gentleness. It's understanding, it's bringing the medicine to ourselves first so that we can be the calm presence for another, co-regulate another. Then it's about the touch. And then it's also about listening with full presence, listening to words. And we listen to the nervous system through the touch.
Mm-hmm. So tell me a bit more about a touch of gentleness. That was a really useful summary. How did it come about, and what in essence is a touch of gentleness?
Okay. So we'll start with in essence. In essence, a touch of gentleness is about connection. It's about human to human, eye to eye, hand to hand, heart to heart connection with gentleness, a listening presence, and through touch. And it came about during lockdown. And I was sitting in the garden. I'd done a lovely meditation, was in a really lovely space. And I thought, what does the world need now? And it just landed. I thought, gosh, it needs more gentleness and more touch. And much as I tried, those words wouldn't go away. So the minute it was safe, I made a little sign and I said a touch of gentleness, free hand massages, went to the seafront, took a camping stool, sat there and offered free hand massages with a touch of gentleness. And the first person that came was an elderly man, withered, tired. He put out his hand, and as I gave it to him, his eyes teared up, and he said that was the first touch he'd had for years and years. I knew I couldn't make enough difference then on my own. And so then it took me about a year to really land it. What was it going to look like? What was the vision, the mission? What was the training manual? How to get the insurance? All those things. So it took a year, and then we delivered our first training. And since then now we've been training people for 3 years, and we've given over 13,000 hand massages.
Wow. And how many people are doing this now in the organisation?
In the organisation, we've probably got 160 that are active around. So we're kind of in Eastbourne, Hastings, Lewes, Brighton. We're just starting up in Burgess Hill. We've also got a little cohort in South East London and in Hertfordshire.
Wow, blimey, you're really growing quickly.
It is growing quickly. And it just shows people know it. It really resonates, this need and this naturalness of touch that's been so demonized, and it's now time to bring it back safely to the world and each other.
And the organisation of A Touch of Gentleness, that's a community interest company?
Yeah, non-profit community interest company.
And so if I was somebody that I thought, benefit from that, how would I go about, getting in touch with you?
Right. Well, so the simple answer to that is the website, and there's a contact form. So you come through, and then we offer the training days that are free for people that want to volunteer within their community. So then it would be about getting onto a training day. And if you want to receive it, then on the website, there's a find us button. And so when we're in public spaces, then that's where we go. But if you're an organisation, so, we're now regularly volunteering with over 70 different organisations and charities, including prisons. And so then the organisation just emails me, and then we have a conversation and see what we can do.
Because I was going to come on to that, because you've done work in intensive care and prisons, hospices,
refugees.
Amazing. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, literally, I think now we've hit all spectrums of society. We've done corporate all the way to, the homeless and the refugees. All, and we've, in our volunteers as well, we've got all different backgrounds and cultures and ages. Well, you can't be younger than 18 to volunteer, but we've got all ages, and our eldest is in her 80s.
Fantastic. So touch, a lot of us might kind of brush off, but it's often called a human basic need, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's quite scarce in modern life. So, why is it so vital to our well-being, do you think?
Well, it's the first sense that develops when we're in the womb. It might be the last that leaves us. We know how important it feels to hold a dying person's hand. And now they are doing research on touch, and there is just so many ways it affects us. It affects our brain development. So from babies, they found that babies, when they receive positive touch, are calmer and kinder. They've found that, for instance, they've looked at the brains of very aggressive males who didn't receive touch, and that the prefrontal lobe, there's a whole area just missing. So it literally wires our brain in many different ways. It makes us more confident. It gives us a map of who we are, where we held as babies with that love and that compassion and that safety, or were we not worthy of that? So right from the beginning, it gives us a map of who we are. And then it shapes how we are in society. It buffers the brain. They found that children that were given more positive touch when they were little their brain has a bigger buffer against neurological stress. So they're able to be more resilient. So in many ways, it affects our brain and our development. Then physically, it produces a huge amount of different hormones and medicines. It stimulates the vagus nerve, which takes us into our restoration and reparative state. So it's the immune system, it's sleep, it reduces pain. All those things have been found. And then as well, emotionally, you get endorphins, which can help reduce pain, make us feel good, serotonin, and then oxytocin, which is the big mama hormone of touch, which is about connection, empathy, trust. So on all levels, it's just producing this kind of incredible cocktail of stuff that's really, really fundamentally needed by us. And it's our first need. So if you think of babies, they cry when you put them down. They stop crying when you pick them up, because the body, and we're hardwired for this connection, for this touch. And when we are touched like that, the body senses that it's safe. And then when we're safe, that's when we can heal. So there's a doctor called Datcher Kettner. No, I've forgotten his name. But anyway, he calls touch preventative medicine, which kind of says it all.
It's fascinating. And listening to you and thinking of that gentleman that you saw on the beachfront as well, it reminds me of, I think, as we get older, that touch, that day-to-day touch gets less, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it's a real sensory deprivation, isn't it? I think we have. And it wouldn't surprise me. I know, so in dementia, we know that people who have hearing loss have a progression of dementia higher.
Yes.
We know that people who have visual loss, their dementia progresses quicker. It wouldn't surprise me if, a loss of touch allows that to progress. And we can do something about that. And you clearly are. Yeah.
Well, I used to go in to a ward with many people with dementia, a care home. It was for dementia. And I went in regularly every other week. And within me going in, after about 2 to 3 months, I mean, they were really poorly. They would be 10 in the morning and they'd be undressing, thinking it was time to go to bed. They didn't remember if they had children or families or anything like that. There was a lot of sort of stress and anxiety. And I would go in, and after me going regularly, after this certain amount of time, they wouldn't remember my name, but they'd see me and they'd start to roll up their sleeves. And then another story of that is there was one particular lady, and I knew I had permission because I saw her regularly. But this morning she really wasn't that great, and she was rocking and looking at the floor. So I sat opposite her and I just took her hand and started to give her a hand massage. And first of all, she became still, and then her eyes lifted to mine. And then it was like a veil lifted from her eyes. And she said, well, she whispered, am I still alive? I thought, you're so alive. Your eyes are so sparkling bright. She said, oh, good. Sometimes I just wonder. So touch brings us back to a sense of self and others. And yeah, who knows how that gets confused with dementia.
Fascinating. Our lives are kind of so sanitized now, aren't they? That we really miss that. And I think, I don't know, do you have any messages? Because I think a lot of us are also worried about touching people, aren't we? Because of the connotations that there might be, or we've kind of gone too far the other way, haven't we? What's your experience there? Because actually, even just saying you're going to touch a stranger, that's quite a big thing in our culture, in our society, isn't it?
It is.
So how's that been received?
Very big. Well, the lovely thing is that we just didn't offer. So it's only going to be people that feel safe enough, that resonate with it, that calm, and a touch, I'll say now, touch is not for everybody, and that's absolutely fine. But for many people, it's the missing thing in their lives. So I think just by bringing it out more to the light, by making it more visible, I'm hoping that we will reduce the fear. I can remember when I was teaching baby massage, one of the ladies came up to me at the end and she said, thanks so much. I was sexually abused as a child and I didn't know how I was going to touch my baby. I mean, that's how far we have got away from it. So anything we can do to bring it more naturally. So I think baby massage should be a part of, a part of being a parent, having that and just, talking about it and knowing that it's a need. It's not, you're not needy. It's just a human need to be touched, so that we can say, you know what, can I hold your hand?
Yeah, absolutely. And yet your work goes far beyond individuals. It's about systems and spaces as well, isn't it? What would like a connection positive community actually look and feel like in a school or hospital or workplace?
It would look great. It would have the energy of gentleness in it, because gentleness is the energy for connection. And we live in relational fields and they're both energetic and physical. And then it would be a place where people really thrive. So, we've got Johan Hari's work, lost connections, depression, and all those things are very much about a lack of connection. So touch is the ultimate form of connection when given with the energy of gentleness and care. And that would just ripple out. People would feel calmer. They'd be more positive towards each other. They'd work cooperatively and not competitively. Fear of other would be reduced. When we sit with somebody else, particularly with touch, there's no more boundaries. The nervous system has its own conversation. They've shown that when you touch somebody, then your heart sends an electric signal to their brain. And so you can literally affect another person's brain. They can affect yours. We come into resonance, sort of a place of cohesion and resonance. A lovely example was a nurse came of her own volition and did the training with the Touch of Gentleness. And she thought, I'm going to take that back to the ward. So she did do some hand massages at night time on her night shift, but she also decided to embody gentleness. And within a few weeks, people were coming up to the ward and saying, something's different. What's different? So that energy is really powerful and picked up. So if you think of that as a little microcosm, as a macrocosm, if we can all start to live like that, to calm ourselves, soothe ourselves, come into connection, which we know alleviates depression and stress and enhances wellness, then really in all those places, it's going to have a profound impact. They say, they say that if you, in schools, for instance, teachers aren't allowed to touch, but then there was some research that showed that if you give praise with touch, just a small pat, then it's got 85% more chance of being integrated.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if a teacher said, well done, and was just able just to do that. The pupil, instead of always feeling nagged, always feeling not good enough, might actually hear that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, it's really good. I saw a great video once where children coming into a classroom could point at a sign saying, I'm happy to be touched, a cut, hug, vibe, whatever, isn't it? There's something about having the choice.
Yes.
But also ensuring that there is a choice to be touched on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that it's safe and yeah. And some days, I love it, but even, I don't fancy it every day. So it is about having that choice and recognizing what is it I feel like, what feels, resonant and useful and helpful today.
So for any professionals listening, even like carers, therapists, teachers, any tips on how they can use touch and presence in ethical and compassionate ways?
I think, first of all, it's understanding that we can really touch people with our presence. So touch doesn't have to be physical. So the first thing is about bringing ourselves really into presence, because that heart opens and that is deeply touching. And then that feeling signifies safety. So, and you're also better able, instead of being in stress where all you're doing is able to do is see to your own needs, when you're not in stress, then you're able to really read other people and other situations. So then it'll be much easier to see, is it appropriate? Is a pat on the shoulder, a touch on the arm, something? And I think we'll just be able to safely read these things and incorporate it and make it something much more natural than it is.
So I've been trying to listen out for a take-home message as well, and it feels that actually this is about being gentle to yourself first and foremost.
Yeah, medicine first. It's about co-regulation as well. So, we're going out all stressed and just, giving a quick hand massage, that's going to do nothing. So absolutely, it's about finding that inner medicine in ourselves first that we can then deliver through this beautiful touch, listening, eye contact, presence, stillness. And in connection, there's 3 phases. There's giving, there's receiving, and there's being. So we need to be able to be and physically, emotionally hold that space.
So any tips because it's easily said, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, in your busy classroom or ward or wherever you are, do you have any tips, especially given your past background? How do you find that inner peace in that moment to start to then move things forward?
I think if you practice, so any breath work, anything that that can bring you back to that place of stillness, first of all. So, I can do it very quickly now because I've practiced it so much. So I practice the breathing, just where you breathe in and breathe out for a little bit longer, and a kind of round of 10 of those. And then you get really good at feeling into your own nervous system. So the minute I can feel it going off, and I will breathe in gentleness. I know what that feels like for me. So I can breathe it in and become more present. And with practice, when you get really in tune with your own nervous system, it doesn't take long. And then a very useful question sometimes, if I was really spinning out, was, am I okay right now, this very moment? And unless I had a gun to my head, the answer was yes. So that brings me down. Okay, then I can breathe in gentleness. So check in. What am I going to do? I'm going to breathe in. I'm going to do a breath. And then it doesn't take long to become present. And when you're present, everything just slows down. It doesn't take longer, but somehow you have more space. So you're more intentional with whatever you're doing instead of pushing and shoving and rushing. It's just more, it meets somehow and it's more effective.
Thank you. I've naturally gravitated towards asking about the kind of, from the perspective of somebody wanting to help make a connection. But if we flip to the other side, if someone's feeling really disconnected, touch deprived, what are the first steps that they can do to kind of start to rebuild that sense of connection?
Yeah. Well, there's lots of things. So, there's the hairdresser, there's the nail bars. Dancing is fantastic for connection because you've got the connection, movement, touch, but they require money. So there is really understanding that you're not being weak and needy, and it's being okay to ask a friend for some touch, consensual. And then you can do self-massage, and self-massage will produce oxytocin. So 10 to 15 minutes of massage has been shown to increase our base level of oxytocin by 27%, which is massive. And that lasts for about 3 hours. So again, if you go to our website, on the shop page, there's a tutorial of giving yourself a lovely hand massage. So you can do that. There's havening as well, which you could look up. And we've got supersensory receptors in our foreheads, our cheeks, and down our arms and in our palms. So if you just gently stroke your forehead, it creates delta waves that are really, really positive and beneficial for us. So we can do self-massage and self-touch for ourselves as well. And then it's those micro moments of connection. It is going to the post office and remembering to make eye contact when you order what you're ordering, not look in your purse and do it. So it's just thinking, okay, I have this opportunity just for a micro moment of connection, but they're very powerful and they all add up. But it's remembering to do it, because sometimes I'm in a post office and I think, gosh, I didn't even look at them. So it's looking for where you can have a micro moment of connection in your daily life and building on that.
Thank you. So I'm starting to take home, find your inner peace and look positively for connections.
Yes.
With people. That's my take home message.
Yeah.
Is there more that you are hoping that I might take home as well?
No, I would love to know that for me, the take home is the power of connection, the power of touch, that it's been so demonized and misunderstood. We really, really, really need to rethink out the box again and come back to our common humanity and find ways to talk about it and to safely bring it back into every organization, charity, walk of life.
Thank you. I think I probably should leave it there. It's been fascinating talking to you, and I can really see how we've moved away from true connection in our society, and how vital, touch and being gentle to yourself and others is going to play a role to us really tackling, I think, our pandemic really of isolation.
Yeah.
And the knock-on effects of that on our health and well-being.
Yeah. And also on othering. So, there was in the news, wasn't it? There was the riot that's against the refugees and for and against, and the guy didn't know where to walk in the street. And we're just so polarized. But when you sit with somebody in this space, then fear of others just dissolves across culturally. So it's incredibly powerful for cohesion and cooperation. And, if we're going to build a world that is abundant for everybody, then we have to find a way to introduce this touch so that we can meet and know that we truly belong to each other.
Absolutely. It's one of the kind of downsides of technology, really, isn't it? Just before you came on air, I sent you into this pod where you could take some measurements, and that just kind of sums up our society, doesn't it? Like we're just kind of automating everything and taking even like accidental touch out of the whole situation, which is very wrong. But equally has its place.
It has its place. It has its place. And it gives us more time to make space for.
And that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's then use the time that you buy wisely.
Yes.
In connecting. Yeah. Rather than just to do a bit more TikTok or something.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. It's been fascinating to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're giving back, really, through A Touch of Gentleness and an amazing ripple effect that's having.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to the Health and Wellbeing Podcast, where today's focus was on the profound healing power of human touch and connection in our fast-paced, often isolating world, with Helen Prosper, founder of A Touch of Gentleness, and me, Dr. Nick Harvey. If you have any feedback or suggestions for future episodes, please email us at sthc.feedback@nhs.net. Please take a moment to subscribe to help support us in empowering others with their health and well-being.